Usually by the time we get to week 7, week 8, week 9, you kind of know who the good players are. You know who the bad players are. You know if you're going to win your fantasy league or at least have a chance. Well, this week, I feel like changed more than any other week so far in fantasy, maybe outside of week 1. So I want to go through and I want to talk about some of these skyrocketing names. A lot of these players at the beginning of the video, you're already going to know who exactly we're talking about. Guys like Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson. But there will be some names near the end that I think you're probably very surprised to hear us bring up. We're bringing up a wide receiver here that has 6 total targets on the season. But I think that should be it. Of course, before we dive into it, go down there, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. And if you want to check out any of these cool player props for the Thursday night game or for any game this weekend, if you want to get in a draft with us on the live stream, make sure you go to the link in the description, the link in the comment section. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. When you sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. So it's pretty much free for you to check out. Personally, my favorite line right now is going to be that lower than Leonard Fournette. Last I checked, it was like at 80-something yards. Have they not seen Rachaad White? Have they not seen how good Rachaad White looks compared to Fournette? But that should be it. You can find that link in the comment section, available in damn near every state. Dive into my most drafted player in fantasy, Josh Jacobs. So obviously, I am going to be extremely biased here with Josh Jacobs when I have him in damn near every single league in those underdog drafts where you saw us do over 700 of them this offseason. Hell, Jacobs was someone we are consistently taking the 7th round. Love the price point because this offense was going to be much better with Devontae Adams coming in. Josh Jacobs had consistently been that low-end running back 1, high-end running back 2 in fantasy. You were getting him at a very nice price, and the man's like a month older than Najee Harris. Jacobs this past week comes through 20 rushing attempts, 143 rushing yards over the past 3 weeks now. 144, 153, and 143 rushing yards. Literally, the man has 6 touchdowns over the past 3 weeks. The man's getting involved as a pass catcher. He's averaging 5 targets a game. While I drafted Jacobs, and a lot of people in the flock drafted Jacobs absolutely everywhere, and he is right now the running back 2 on the season from a points per game standpoint. To be fair, I don't think this is going to keep up. I don't think that Josh Jacobs is going to continue to be a top 3 running back the rest of the way. I'm praying that I'm wrong here. I'm praying that Jacobs keeps up this absolute destruction and he causes pain to everybody who decided to fade him this offseason. But if we are going to be fair, someone who's rooting for the guy, the past 3 weeks have been the perfect situation for him. If you look at the Denver game, they led that game the entire time where they were able to just go through and run the ball over and over and over again, where Jacobs had 28 rushing attempts. Now, I know the Kansas City game, yes, they ended up losing, but if we remember how that game played out, the Raiders had the lead the majority of the game there. KC came back. So that was also another contest where they were able to heavily rely on Josh Jacobs and the rushing game. And this past week, obviously against the Houston Texans, they're playing Houston. It's never going to be a game they boat race the Houston Texans. So over the past 3 weeks, it has been the perfect game environment each and every week for Jacobs. I still think that he's a running back 1 rest of season, 100%. But as someone who has them everywhere, and I'm hoping that I'm wrong, I think when the Raiders start to trail some more of these games, maybe the final stat line's not going to look as pretty for Josh Jacobs. He's not going to keep up with 2 rushing touchdowns a game like he's had over the past 3. If we could move Josh Jacobs and get Jonathan Taylor, get Christian McCaffrey, get Austin, get one of those running backs that are truly elite level players. However, they have started a little slow here as of late. At least in the case of Jonathan Taylor, we know that Josh Jacobs has crushed him from a points per game perspective. I honestly would look to make that swap. But now someone else that we have on all our teams, Travis Etienne. We got to talk about him. Going to be super brief. We've only talked about him every single video for the past month now, it seems. With Etienne, if you're looking at the snaps since week 2, Just straight up to where this past week he had 57 snaps out of 71. You have James Robinson going over to the Jets, where now, Travis Etienne's going up against JaMycal Hasty. We called Travis Etienne the discount DeAndre Swift. We said don't draft DeAndre Swift in the first, draft Travis Etienne in the fourth. They're the same guy. I honestly think that that's exactly how we view this. I think if you have a fully healthy DeAndre Swift and compare him to Travis Etienne, these players are going to be neck and neck. Now, obviously, DeAndre Swift not fully healthy, so maybe you want to just give the slight edge to Travis Etienne at this moment, but keep in mind, Travis Etienne has not gone through his bye week, whereas you've already had DeAndre Swift through his bye. So I think they play a comparable amount of games the rest of the season. I think that DeAndre Swift's going to be running behind a much better offensive line, but he also has Jamal Williams. So I think if we're ranking our rest of season running backs, Travis Etienne and DeAndre Swift are going to be straight up equals, but in a full PPR format, I think you have an opportunity here. Everybody knows Etienne is way more expensive. Everybody knows that Etienne is very exciting, but I've seen some people say that they would still rather have Leonard Fournette, that they would still rather have Dalvin Cook. And in my opinion, in a full PPR format, trade one of those descending veteran players for someone like Travis Etienne, because I think he is a locked and loaded top 10 running back rest of season. Now our next guy, Ramondre Stevenson. With Ramondre, phenomenal Monday night. Damien Harris comes back and only plays 9 snaps. Damien Harris plays 9 snaps compared to Ramondre Stevenson at 40. Ramondre Stevenson has 8 receptions for 59 receiving yards. Literally almost half of the completed passes for the New England Patriots this past week went to Ramondre Stevenson. So a lot of people are now beginning to view Ramondre in that same light as a DeAndre Swift, as Travis Etienne. Nobody thinks he's Josh Jacobs, but still a lot of people are comparing him to guys like Travis Etienne and our next running back that we are going to be talking about. And I think that if you look at Stevenson, while yes, you have to be so excited if you are a Stevenson owner. You have to be jumping up and down with joy based on the usage that you just had. However, if you could pivot over to someone like Etienne, if you could pivot over to someone like Kenneth Walker, who we're about to be talking about, I would, because to be fair, while Ramondre Stevenson crushed Damien Harris, it was also the perfect game environment. They lost 33-14. Ramondre is clearly the much better pass catcher, as I've said for years now. So, of course, Ramondre is going to be the guy getting used. I think Damien Harris actually plays more snaps going forward. So, yeah, go try to sell Ramondre for Travis Etienne. Go try to sell him for Kenneth Walker if you can. Kenneth Walker, our next guy, plays 53 snaps out of 71 this past week. Sees 23 rushing attempts, 168 rushing yards, and multiple rushing touchdowns. Now, please don't hate me when I say this. Literally, we had Kenneth Walker on multiple buy low running back videos earlier this season. Kenneth Walker, my second most drafted running back in fantasy this year, only behind Josh Jacobs. That's why, if you can see our Best Ball Mania update here, literally, we are probably the best drafter on Underdog this entire offseason, the largest draft platform you're going to find. The results have been obnoxiously good. There's no way I'll ever repeat this season. But with Walker in a full PPR format, I think that there may be a reason to look to move him, specifically because he's not going to catch passes. We talked about this coming into this season. Even if Kenneth Walker was my second most drafted running back, that was one clear hesitation that we had to call Kenneth Walker a guaranteed league winner. The man had 168 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns this past week, so it simply didn't matter. He crushed from a fantasy football standpoint. However, if you're playing in that PPR league, I think I may go out and get Travis Etienne, get DeAndre Swift, just because they're going to average about 5 more receptions a game than Kenneth Walker. And in a PPR format, the fantasy football scoring is a little bit broken at the running back position, where Walker sees a total of 0 targets this past week. That is concerning. I think he actually averages closer to 2 to 3 targets a game going forward, but he's never been a great pass catcher. And don't get mad at me for saying to potentially sell Kenneth Walker in that full PPR league for one of those passing down running backs. As I said, he's my second most drafted running back in fantasy. What do you want from me? But now going over to our next RB, this is where it's going to get a little surprising. Actually, no, instead of going down the surprising road, let's first give another obvious. DeAndre Hopkins, crushing it. He comes out. We rank him as the wide receiver 5, his first week back from the suspension. crushes as an elite wide receiver one, 14 targets, 10 receptions, 103 receiving yards. You have Hollywood Brown injured, DeAndre Hopkins locked and loaded, top 10 wide receiver rest of season. Please don't hesitate at all. We've shown the historical data of how DeAndre Hopkins helps Kyler Murray. We've shown it that DeAndre Hopkins historically averages 10 targets a game. An elite player, not much to discuss. Let's go down to some of these surprising guys. Our next player, I know that a lot of people don't like and a lot of people are completely off of, but I don't know how you're ignoring the situation he's in. Darrell Henderson. With Darrell Henderson, 100%. I don't think that he is some phenomenal running back. I think that Darrell Henderson is an average running back at best. He is a very good athlete, but he has his clear limitations. However, if we are taking a step back and you were looking at the situation that he is in now, with this team clearly being fined from saying, you know what, game makers, my man, you don't have to be involved with the team. You don't want to be involved with the team. All cool with us. We're not changing our game plan around you. You can walk. They're looking at Darrell Henderson now as that weekly starter where he had 46 snaps out of the potential 65 the week before the bye. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Mason, what about Kyren Williams? What about Kyren Williams? I heard in my fantasy football podcast that he's an intriguing pickup. Guys, I think your favorite fantasy football podcast, I mean, they probably don't spend the entire offseason writing hundreds of pages just about the rookies. They're probably not just obsessed with football the way the people in the flock are. If we remember Kyren Williams coming out of Notre Dame, he was exciting somewhat before the NFL Combine when you looked at him as a relatively good passing down running back. But the man went through and ran a 4.65 40-yard dash. The man weighs 194 pounds. Now, instead of telling you to do the historical analysis, the historical research for yourself, and to spend months on end doing it and writing a 100-page Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide like we did this offseason, I'll give you a little spoiler alert. Running backs that weigh 194 pounds, that run a 4.65 40-yard dash, they do not work out at the NFL level. Wide receiver is different. Wide receiver athleticism doesn't matter nearly as much. We don't care nearly as much about the 40-yard dash time. 99% of the time, it's just noise. You want to be looking at production. You want to be looking at their traits. You want to be looking at their route running. There's so much that goes into the wide receiver position. However, historically speaking, we've proven this with research, size as well as speed matters so much at RB. Kyren Williams has neither. You can get away with being a slow running back if you're a very big RB. You can get away with being a small running back if you're a very fast running back. But if you are slow and small, it just simply doesn't work out for you. That's why we didn't like Isaiah Spiller this offseason. So I think with Kyren Williams, don't be worried. He probably is going to have a role just because he's a capable pass catcher. But I think the Kyren Williams role will be exactly what Malcolm Brown was going to have. I think whatever Malcolm Brown was going to have will go over to Kyren Williams. I don't even want to waste the Ross spot on Kyren. Maybe he goes out there and gets 3 to 4 targets a game. But even if Darrell Henderson were to go down, Kyren Williams will never be a running back that's able to average 15 carries a game and 5 targets a game. And of course, when he does naturally do this later on in the year, because I'm making a fool of myself right now, feel free to clip this. Feel free to tweet it. Feel free to call me a clown, which I clearly am. But now our last guy, big surprise for a lot of people, Keenan Allen. With Keenan Allen, I mean, I have wasted your time talking about him for the past month, telling you, oh, Keenan's going to come back soon. Keenan is going to be the wide receiver one here in Los Angeles. Really do like Keenan Allen in a full PPR format. Let's go through and trade for him. I have wasted your time saying that for the past month, and Keenan Allen has let this hamstring injury linger to where now Keenan Allen has missed more time with this hamstring injury than Brian Robinson missed from getting shot multiple times. Not pretty for Allen. Going into the bye, the reason that he is going to be skyrocketing in my rankings is not only the fact that he will be 100% or praying that he's going to be 100% by the time we get out of the bye week, but you had a Mike Williams high ankle sprain. And y'all know I was not a fan of Mike Williams coming into the season. He was going in the 3rd round. Everybody classified him as a wide receiver one. We looked over the past 3 seasons with Mike Williams, said the majority of the time, he's a field stretching guy, creating space underneath for someone like Keenan, not someone we want. But the second Keenan Allen went down with the hamstring injury, we had to go, okay, well, even if I didn't like Mike Williams, he is now extremely appealing because you have elite quarterback play. There's not much target competition. So buy low on Mike Williams week 2. Well, very similar to Keenan Allen. I mean, with Keenan Allen, now that Mike Williams is going down, he has elite quarterback play. There's not much target competition. So go buy low on Keenan Allen. What you may want to do is wait a week. Like if you were going to go through and trade a wide receiver like Chris Olave for Keenan Allen, no reason to do this right now because he is going in the bye, but trade for him next week after he's coming out of his bye. But I think that's all I got for you. Of course, thank you so much for going down there, dropping a like on the video, subscribing to the channel if you play fantasy football. If you have any questions, if you want to call me a clown and a Kyron Williams hater, feel free to go down there and drop those in the comment section. I'll try to respond to as many of those as I possibly can. And of course, if you want to get in a weekly draft with us on the live stream, if you want to go check out any of these cool player props, you can find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the comment section in the description of this video. And when you go and sign up for Underdog with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit $1 for dollar up to 200. So it's pretty much free for you to check out, and it's available in damn near every state. But thank you again. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great day, and hope we get to see you in the live stream tonight.